we did have the Rotterdam ATP 500 event, which was won by Carlos Alcaraz, the top seed. It was a 3-set tussle against Alex de Minaur in the final. And with that win, Carlos Alcaraz has finally won his first maiden indoor hard court title, which, is fantastic for him. It's yet another kind of tick box thing. Career. And it's title number 17 as well, which is remarkable given that he's still 21. Struggling with a bit of a cold as well, not feeling 100% this week. But Joel, how impressive was Alcaraz given that he wasn't feeling his best, that he came away with this title?
I mean, seriously impressive stuff, particularly over the semi-finals and finals. Hubert Hurkacz, he was down and out in that first set, and he sort of wrestled through it, came through in 3, and then against someone like Alex de Minaur, who was scurrying all over the court this week, turning defense into offense. He came away with the victory, and it just felt like at times he maybe had a little bit too much firepower in the tank for de Minaur, particularly with his forehand in that third set. But a good week for him, given, as I say, this is like his first title of the season. To do it when you're not 100%, that must feel very, very good.
There was obviously something going round, I think, because Alex de Minaur also wasn't feeling great. I think Casper Ruud wasn't feeling great. And Alcaraz was sporting a new accessory on his nose, a nasal strip, which he started wearing them and then kind of carried on wearing them, even though he was feeling a bit better. I think it's a bit of maybe a bit superstitious, bit Rafa-esque. Was it a good look? Would you don a nose strip, perhaps?
I've been thinking about it, Kim. I've been looking at TikTok Shop. I think because of this, it sparked a real sort of moment on social media where people are kind of displaying what can happen. I've seen up a lot of people's nostrils quite unwittingly. I'm not sure.
It was a swimming thing.
Like a synchronized swimming move.
That's to stop water going up your nose when you're swimming. That's
this is to open the airways.
That pinches your nose together. Yeah.
Okay, they look very similar.
Imagine if Joel starts playing tennis with a clothes peg on his nose. I'm not sure it would have quite the desired effect, but I mean, it worked for him. He's worn it once and he's won his first indoor hard title, which, Kim, I don't want to bring this up, but I think I have to. He's equaled Rafael Nadal's hardcourt titles on indoor titles. So
don't remind us.
Apparently, Felix has won more indoor titles. Is it this year than he has maybe potentially Nadal did ever? So is this a turning point for Nadal? No, for Alcaraz. In the fact that everyone sort of said that his game wouldn't necessarily ladder up that well indoors, and clearly it's getting a lot better. And this makes you think that maybe focusing on the indoor hard court might be a bit more of a move for him, because there's a lot more maybe points that you could be picking up if he's able to improve a bit more, and clearly he is.
In Rafa's defense, I believe that tennis should be played outdoors, not indoors.
in November in Sweden.
Yes, absolutely. But no, you're right in the fact that Alcaraz has decided not to play the Golden Swing this year, which is actually kicking off this week out in Argentina. So yeah, obviously paying dividends with him getting this title already. And it's great to see him get a title. He hasn't won a title since China in October last year, and disappointing loss to Novak Djokovic at the Australian Open. It's just good to get the wins under your belt and kind of aim to have a good hard court swing as well. Soon, obviously, Indian Wells will be fast approaching before we know it. Alex de Minaur also obviously great run to the final. He's just coming up short though, isn't he? Obviously lost to Sinner at the Australian Open and now lost to Carlos here. It's just always kind of never quite at the level of the very, very top. I feel like we've asked this a lot, but do you think he is just on that like incremental journey, or is there going to be that threshold for him?
It's tough, isn't it, Joel? I think for me personally, he's adding more to his game, but he doesn't have that X factor that the likes of Sinner and Alcaraz have. I think he's definitely works hard. He definitely has talent, so much talent, but what those guys have is something a little bit above and beyond that. And I think he's maximizing what he has. He's going to put himself in situations where he might be able to do something really big. But I do think he might need a bit of help from some inspired other players in the draw, because that loss against Sinner was probably very humbling for him and a bit of a reality check, if I'm honest.
No, I
Do you know
agree.
what? I still think he gave a really good account of himself in the final. 3 sets. Did push Alcaraz at times, and he got to the final here last year and lost to Yannick Sinner. And although I don't necessarily think he has maybe an X factor or something you just can't teach, he still has a lot of things that can push him up the rankings. And I do think at the moment he's almost to me like the best of the rest. Other players are not really playing to their capabilities at the moment. I mean, Daniel Medvedev lost to Bellucci in the second round here. Stefanos Tsitsipas as well. It doesn't feel like a lot of players around him are maybe living up to their seedings at the moment. And almost like for Alex de Minaur, if he can keep fit, I don't see why he can't be maybe even pushing being in that top 5 space just on consistency.
But
Yeah,
is
like
he a
3,
top
4 in the
2?
world.
Yeah, I was going to say 3, 4, but I just can't see top 2 happening.
No.
It's a bit of a David Ferrer, sort of.
He was a
your
number 3, I
ceilings,
think, wasn't he?
3 or 4, yeah. Got to some Grand Slam finals, very consistent, but not.
I don't think he's there just
ultimately-
yet, but certainly he's on
Yeah.
his way.
Yeah, I mean, special mention to qualifier Bellucci because he did take out Medvedev and Tsitsipas, but then did ultimately get whooped by Alex de Minaur. But yeah, great week for him. But yeah, well done to Carlos Alcaraz. Let's have a look at what happened in Dallas, where we had Denis Shapovalov beating Casper Ruud in the final. So this was event. It was straight sets this time, and Denis Shapovalov actually beat the top 3 seeds here. Is the first time in a while that that's happened, and well, very impressive. Tommy Paul and Taylor Fritz also falling by the wayside to give Shapovalov his 3rd title and the Dallas victory. It's been a long time since we've seen him play at this level where he's winning titles. Chris, what was the story of Shapovalov's week here? Why did he manage to kind of turn things around and end up as the champion here?
Well, I mean, he didn't make the errors that he has been making. I think that's the key thing. The temperament was so much better. The energy was so much more positive. Every time I've seen him play the last couple of years, it's turned to frustration so quickly. There's been a little bit of desperate shot making, a lot of mistakes, and you just feel like something, almost the stars aligned for him here, because at one point his quality of shot rating was a 9.9 for the forehand.
Wow.
I mean, he really was playing some absolutely exceptional tennis off both wings. And it just makes you think, he's always had this ability, but it has been so hard for him to actually put it together. And I think we talked about this maybe in a couple of times in the last sort of 6 months, where will he? There are signs. And this is now his biggest title to date, which no one saw coming. And no one would really have thought this would be the week that Denis Shapovalov would beat 3 top 10 players on the way to the title. It does not happen often. The last time it happened was Nick Kyrgios in Acapulco in 2019. So, I mean, it's just quite an achievement. And it's not like he's winning a 250 without facing a top 10 player. He's beaten 3 in-form players to take the title. And he's even done it without, not all of those, but 3 sets. So very, very impressive. But I think it's just right time, right place, and the shots were landing in.
Yeah, and for context, he was previously 11 and 33 against top 10 players. So it's not like he's got a very good record against top teners. Even historically, he's got very much a losing record, as I guess you would expect. Last year, he went down to 140 in the rankings. So his really career, declined quite considerably. I mean, he's had a knee injury, and various factors has obviously sidelined him and factored into that. But it's just great to see him play some of his best tennis and to get the biggest title of his career, 500. I mean, Joel, where do you think Shapovalov goes now? Like, can he maintain this, or is the worry this is a flash in the pan week and he's kind of going to drop back to where he has been week in, week out lately?
I mean, his career high ranking, I think, is 10 in the world. And certainly this season, if he can stay fit, I think he can certainly push back up to that level. I think he would love to be seeded for, his next, for Grand Slams. And I think this result kind of puts him in that category. But I think, I think the way he's played tennis this week, I feel like there's been a lot more of control there. It's not felt as all or nothing as previous Denis Shapovalov stepping onto the court has felt. And I'd say that controlled aggression is something that can push him, I think, into maybe back into the maybe even back into the top 20, because I don't actually think there's a lot of difference, in that space between kind of 20 and 30 and 40. So yeah, I think there's opportunity there, but I think for him it's all about consistency, because we know he's capable of these results and these performances, but it still feels like maybe sometimes he's a little bit too hot or cold. So it's just kind of making sure that he can kind of do this week in, week out to collect those ranking points.
What do you think about the Taylor Fritz
key.
result? I was going to say. So he hasn't exactly started the season with a bang, Joel. I'm just going to you because he is one of your favourites. Going out to Monfils, obviously at the Australian Open, in Dallas, going out to Shapovalov. That's quite a surprising start to the season for him. And do you think that's where, when you made those comments about Alex de Minaur, is that he's always kind of at the later stages of tournaments, whereas a lot of the other players lack that consistency that he has?
Yeah, he's definitely not been at the races, has he? The start of the season. I do expect him to pick it up, and the seasons just sort of blur into one. And I don't know if it is sort of he's not been able to get the off season in that he wanted or needed. But yeah, there's certainly a lot of room for improvement. But I don't think he's the only one in this category. I mean, as I say, Rublev, Medvedev. There are quite a few players who just seem to not be finding form, and it's a fight. It's a 500. There is a quality. It is a quality field. But yeah, he should be doing a lot better.
I would like to give a special mention to Jaume Munar, who got to the semi-finals.
Yes, Kim.
Munar of Mallorca. I thought his career had just gone into the complete doldrums, so it's nice to see him as a surprise.
Your favourite name to say as well.
Semi-finalists.
Yeah.
But yeah, good on him. And good on Denis Shapovalov. I still remember the semi-final he got to at Wimbledon and played against Djokovic and had his moments in that match. And it's just kind of gone downhill from there. Yeah, so it'd be great to see him get back up to that stage at some point. So let's wait and see.